I will see my daughter again. And that's what gets me up in the morning, to go to work, to carry on. And I wait for that day.
I remember seeing her be put on the stretcher, and I asked one of the EMTs, I was like, tell me and be honest, is my sister going to die? And she looked at me and she didn't even know what to say. I said, it's okay, I already know.
One Long Island family torn apart by a devastating crash in Medford in 2008.
I remember approaching that intersection, and out of the corner of my eye, that last second, I saw a black vehicle in my peripheral, but it was so quick. All I had time to do was gasp, and it was...
14-year-old Angelica Nappi died a few days later, and several others were injured.
And then there was the impact, and I had the chills talking about it.
The driver of the car that crashed into the teens, Stephen Catalano, was convicted of reckless driving. He also had 7 license suspensions. According to records from the State Department of Motor Vehicles, there are at least 50,000 drivers on Long Island who have a suspended or revoked license or no license.
It's a gamble. When you get in that car, you are taking your life in your own hands.
According to a traffic safety researcher who spoke with Newsday, unlicensed drivers are 4 times more likely to cause a fatal crash.
Losing one life on the roadways is one life too many, and every time I see it happen, it breaks my heart.
Joshua Pena, who was convicted in the accident that killed his half-brother Xavier, had no license, according to DMV records.
He's my only child, and now I have to visit him in the cemetery. This is just unfair.
Carrie Bedrick, the mother who drove the wrong way on the southern state last year, causing a crash that killed her 9-year-old son Eli, had 56 license suspensions.
It's sickening to me to hear that many suspensions that people have.
So how do people end up with so many suspensions? We asked traffic and criminal defense attorney Daniel Friedman. He says there are multiple reasons: a drunk or drugged driving conviction, failing to pay taxes or child support, getting a ticket and not taking care of it, getting too many tickets or too many points, and not having insurance.
The goal of traffic safety is not for us to write tickets or make arrests. It's for us to get people to voluntarily comply to laws. It's everybody's job. It's not just the police department's job. When it gets to the point where we're involved, something's already gone wrong.
Automatically being suspended doesn't mean you're going to be a bad driver and therefore have an accident. People have to work. They have to worry about their lives. They have to take care of their bills and their family and their children, and they just assume that this is not an issue. Now, this is not defending everybody.
And while he admits there may be drivers who just don't care about having multiple suspensions and driving anyway, he says there are other drivers who simply don't know how to clear them all up.
I think the system needs to be made easier for people to address tickets.
There's no right to drive. If you're driving in New York State, you are doing so as a privilege.
Maureen McCormick has spent decades working as a vehicular crimes prosecutor. She's now a special assistant district attorney in the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office.
Make no mistake about this. I am terrified for the people of Long Island in general and in New York State, because sometimes you see too much. And it's been a very long time speaking to a very large number of families who could easily be my family.
Back in 2008, it was the Nappi family. Devastated by the death of her daughter, Mom Dawn says she had no choice but to try and channel her grief by making a promise to Angelica.
I just held true to that promise that I made to my daughter, and I was on a mission. And I didn't realize that the mission would take me out 16 years.
Her mission was fighting for stronger penalties for unlicensed drivers. Angelica's law was passed last November. It lowered the number of suspensions before a driver can be charged with a felony from 10 on 10 different dates to 5 on 5 separate dates. There could also be a fine and a prison term if the driver is convicted.
I'm happy, but I'm also disappointed in the sense that 10 suspensions brought down to 5 is still what I consider a slap on the wrist consequence. Because anybody that buries a child is facing a lifetime sentence.
For Newsday TV, I'm Shari Einhorn.